Welcome you to the campus of Lipscomb University and our Nashville Business Breakfast. This is our fourth and final installment of 2015 for the Nashville Business Breakfast. We are glad you are with us. This has been a great year for this event. We've enjoyed hearing from our governor, our former mayor, who we sent out with quite a celebration earlier this year, and then I think just speaking of our community, we did follow those two governmental leaders with hearing from Milton Johnson, the CEO of HCA, and we all know what healthcare means to our community and our business community in particular. This morning is special too, and I think it's so appropriate for us to end this year with the Nashville Business Breakfast to hear from Sarah Trahern and just the truly the brand of who we are as a community, and celebrate the music business and what it means to our community. And for those of you who are with us for the first time, I want to say welcome. We are glad you're joining us here for the Nashville Business Breakfast. If you've not been with us before and you'd like to be on the distribution list for emails to get notification of future meetings, please leave a business card in the center of your table. That will get picked up. It will be used appropriately. And we want to just make sure we can reach out to you and you can join us for future events. We're excited about next year and hope to have announcements soon about speakers that we'll be having during 2016. But again, we want to welcome you to the campus this morning and to our fall edition of the Nashville Business Breakfast. As always, it's my pleasure to just to introduce to this group our partner in the Nashville Business Breakfast, the Nashville Business Journal and the publisher of the Business Journal, Kate Herman. Will you please join me in welcoming Kate?
Well, good morning, and thank you, Bob. Nice to see you all here this morning. And I am just one of many partners, but pleased to be here at Lipscomb. And we have other partners with us as well that I'd like to introduce you to. They are the sponsors of today's program and for our programs throughout this year, and we really appreciate them. Our first sponsor this morning is Dwayne Dillard, and he's partner at Crow Horwath. And I would like Dwayne to just come, please share a few words this morning of greeting.
Thanks, Kate. Good morning. Welcome to the Nashville Business Breakfast. We always look forward to this event. It's a great event, great way to start the day with good breakfast, networking with good friends, and always have a great speaker. Crow Horwath is a top 10 public accounting and consulting firm with offices coast to coast. We work with clients in a variety of industries, and always look forward to this event and hope you enjoy the breakfast and all the speakers. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Dwayne. We appreciate you being here. And another great sponsor of ours is Chuck Denny, and he's Regional President of Kentucky and Tennessee at PNC Bank. Let me just introduce you to Chuck. Chuck, would you like to come say a few words?
Good morning. Thank you, Kate. This is a great event. It's just, I guess, the last one of the year. So how many here today this is your first business breakfast you've been to? Just raise your hand. That's great. And for all of those that didn't raise your hand, thanks for coming back, because I know you'll repeat. And for those who raise your hand, make this a habit. This is one of the best events in Nashville. You know, PNC's fifth largest bank in the country. We're in 22 states, and these kind of programs occur in other cities around the country. Been talking to my colleagues. There's no other city that we know of in the 22 states we do business in that can draw 600 to 800 people at 6:45 in the morning, 4 times a year for breakfast. So this just typifies just how aggressive and how wonderful and progressive Nashville, Tennessee is. But you know, this breakfast would not be possible without Kate Herman and the NBJ and Randy Lowry and Lipscomb University, 2 great business leaders who had the foresight, the perseverance to put this together many years ago and to keep it going. And the reason it keeps going is because you're here. So enjoy breakfast. We've got a great program, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.
Thanks to Chuck, and he parlayed so well into what I was going to tell you, which is enjoy your breakfast for a few minutes, and we'll be back with you shortly to listen to Sarah Trahern. So enjoy.
We want to continue with our program this morning. Sorry to interrupt your visiting, but we're excited to get to hear from Sarah, so we want to move on with the program. A couple of things I just want to bring to your attention real quickly and mention to you. On your tables this morning, you'll see what has this little brochure for what has become one of the just a truly wonderful event of the season here at Lipscomb on the campus, the Lighting of the Green. It's on December 1st, always hosted by Amy Grant. Amy will be back with us again. Among other special guests, Stephen Curtis Chapman will be a part of the program this year. So we're excited about that evening and hope you will join us here on the campus for that event. It's a wonderful night. And one other thing I just want to point out to you or remind you of, especially those of you who are with us for the first time, we will have a Q&A session after Sarah makes her remarks. And if you have a question that you want to present, at the bottom of the first page of your program, there are texting instructions if you want to text in a question for Sarah. We can't guarantee that she will get to all of the questions or that Turney and Kate, as they present the questions, will get to all of them, but we'll do our best. But again, we're glad you're with us. Someone that we wanted to introduce and ask to lead our invocation this morning is new to the Lipscomb family, but not so new to the music industry here in Nashville. And Lipscomb is thrilled that Charlie Peacock has joined Lipscomb as the artist in residence for the College of Entertainment and the Arts, and it's just a wonderful blessing to that particular college of this university to have him here. So we've asked Charlie to lead us in the invocation as we continue the program this morning. Would you welcome Charlie Peacock, please?
Good morning to y'all. Would you bow your heads with me in prayer? Oh, gracious God, we thank you for this meal that's been set before us and for the hands that prepared it. And I thank you for this early fall morning where we are drawn together in the unity of our collective work for the common good. And I thank you for the wisdom and experience of those who have gathered and how they skillfully care for our city and all who labor here. I thank you for the diversity of persons and influence and resources represented in this room. And I pray for each heart and hands to continue with remarkable, life-giving work in our city and beyond. I thank you for this place, Lipscomb University, set aside for this moment, a moment never known by its founder, but hoped for in the unimagined trajectory of events that unfold from a single creative dream. Together, we join our hearts and voices, praying for peace, justice, and reconciliation in our world, praying for the honoring of human rights and the relief of the oppressed. Have mercy, Lord God. Bring comfort to those members of the human family who have suffered so much in recent days. We also pray for our community, Nashville, Music City, a wonderfully unique place with new and unfolding challenges. Be with us, Lord God, in our daily life and work. Help us to be loving, imaginative, and generous community, known throughout the world as a big-hearted and open-handed people. Fan the flames of our skill and creativity. Help us to give more than we take, love more than we hate, and heal more than we hurt, and be for us what we cannot be for ourselves. May peace abound and goodness flourish. In Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Well, good morning to you and welcome to Lipscomb University. I'm having a great time over here talking with Sarah, and she tells me that it's very significant that some of you are here, that some of you don't get up this early in the morning, and she's absolutely amazed to see your face at 7 a.m. on our campus. And so we thank you for being here for this, the final Nashville Business Breakfast of the year. You come this morning to a university that is growing and being innovative in many different ways. Over the next couple of weeks, we will break ground on a new engineering building on the north side of the campus. This engineering building will serve a new college here at Lipscomb that is doing incredible things in terms of producing folks to go out into that field and to make a difference. At our academy in the next week or so, we will break ground on a new athletic center, the McAdams Athletic Center, named after our late legendary football coach, Glenn McAdams. This indoor practice facility will not only be an incredible asset for Lipscomb Academy student athletes, but will also be a new event center and have many other amenities as well. It will be one of 4 HVAC climate-controlled indoor practice facilities in Middle Tennessee, with Lipscomb Academy joining the Tennessee Titans and Vanderbilt as programs that have those kind of facilities to support the work that they're doing. And so we're really excited about the growth that's going on. We're also excited about the innovation side of the university. It was only a month or so ago that U.S. News and World Report looked out across the country, and they looked at the universities in this country that are most innovative universities. And as they named those universities, Lipscomb was named one of the top 10 most innovative universities in the entire Southeast United States. A lot of that innovation comes out of incredible work that people are doing to influence the lives of so many. Last week we celebrated Veterans Day on this campus. We celebrated that very special day with 225 Operation Yellow Ribbon post 9/11 veterans that are here on this campus receiving an education absolutely free of tuition. Those veterans come to us and they have different levels of challenges, some physical, some mental, and as a result of that, Lipscomb has found a way to serve them, and in doing so, is putting them on a course for the next chapter of their lives. It's through this innovation that the Gates Foundation has looked at Lipscomb and said, this is the university that we see doing incredible things across Tennessee. And the Gates Foundation earlier this fall gave us a grant of $750,000 for a program called Leadership Tennessee that was started right here at Lipscomb and is having a tremendous impact on our state. Earlier in November, it was a wonderful night for those of you in the entertainment industry here in Nashville, for the CMA in particular. But on that particular night, it was also a wonderful night for Lipscomb University. As we all together celebrated the CMA Awards downtown at Bridgestone Arena, as so many experienced a lifelong dream of winning a CMA award, as we had this wonderful celebration that was broadcast across the world, it is significant that there were many Lipscomb alums that were featured that particular night. We're proud of the fact that Lipscomb alum Carrie Edwards and the artist that she manages, Luke Bryan, won Entertainer of the Year. We're proud of the fact that Kelsey Ballerini, a Lipscomb alum, was nominated for New Artist of the Year. And we're particularly proud of the fact that Kelsey did this because we think it reflects a bit of who Lipscomb is and who Lipscomb wants to be. On this wonderful night for Kelsey, to where she was realizing her dream, one of the things that she did that was so significant was help somebody else realize theirs. Kelsey's guest that night was a 17-year-old young lady named Allie Allen, someone who's been suffering with brain cancer. And Kelsey mentioned that there were many moments in her high school career that she didn't have the opportunity to take advantage of because of her illness. And so Kelsey said, tonight is going to be her night as well as my night. And Kelsey brought her to the CMA Awards as her guest. We're excited about Lipscomb alum Thomas Rhett, who was also nominated for the New Artist of the Year. And so as we think about the connections between the entertainment industry and Lipscomb University, particularly country music, we're excited about what that future looks like in terms of new artists that are coming out of this particular university. A lot of that work is happening in a new and emerging college of the entertainment and the arts. that was recently founded here at Lipscomb University under the leadership of a very dynamic dean by the name of Mike Fernandez. This new college is looking at entertainment and the arts in a very, very different way. Students are being trained in a very different way. It's very cross-disciplinary in its focus, very entrepreneurial in its focus. So students can come and they can pursue their artistic dreams, but as they leave, they will also have skills to be successful in other areas of life as well. And we're excited that folks like Charlie Peacock, who just led our prayer, have joined the College of Entertainment and the Arts as an artist in residence. There are others, Steve Taylor, a well-known filmmaker in this town. But through the collaboration with Charlie and Steve and so many others in the music industry, Lipscomb is beginning to attract talent to Nashville. Students who want to pursue their dream, but also want to be educated at the same time. And we're excited about how this college is positioned to be able to help them do that. And so we're really looking forward to the talent that will come out of that college, the productions that will come out of that college, and the way in which that college is educating students. It's my understanding that last night there was theater students and contemporary music students that were actually collaborating together in a performance in downtown Nashville. That's the vision we have in terms of influencing the entertainment industry. As we think about influencing the entertainment industry, we're absolutely thrilled this morning to welcome Sarah Trahern, someone who has tremendous influence, not only through who she is and the relationships she has, not only with folks in this room but beyond, but also through her role as the CEO of the Country Music Association. It was about 2 years ago this week, I think, that she was named to this role. She has been in charge of the Country Music Association since January of 2014. Prior to that, she was Senior Vice President and General Manager of GAC. She has a long career in television, a long career that also is intersected with country music through her work at GAC. She moved to Nashville in 1995, and we are thrilled that she is here with us this morning. Prior to her work in country music, she started at C-SPAN in Washington, D.C. And from talking with her this morning, I asked her what was memorable about that, and she said, well, two of the most memorable moments was a moment where I had the opportunity to sit for an hour or so and talk baseball with Richard Nixon, and I had a moment to share a cigar with Bill Clinton. So, with that, in terms of a background, and coming to Nashville and taking that television experience and then intersecting that with country music, she has become a significant leader here in our business community and leads the CMA Music Festival, the CMA Awards, and some of the very significant entertainment events in this town. Would you join me in welcoming to the Nashville Business Breakfast, Sarah Trahern.
It'll be great. I was afraid when we settled on the topic of the road to here that everyone was going to think that this was yet another Nashville traffic discussion. So needless to say, I'm happy to see so many of you here early this morning and the time and commitment it took to get here. Usually if I'm up at 7:30 in the morning sweating, I'm over at the Green Hills Y, not up here at the podium. But I'd like to thank the Nashville Business Journal and David Lipscomb for inviting me here today. Lipscomb is home to an active chapter of our CMA EDU program on college campuses, and I'm delighted to see a few of our EDU students throughout the room with us this morning. And here we are, as a city, an industry, and a creative community, with a common interest in the continued strength and vitality of the place we call home, Nashville, Music City. The history of the Country Music Association runs a parallel path to the development and growth of Nashville. Niche at first, and now internationally recognized as both an it city and a mainstream format. Surprisingly, the road to here for the CMA actually started in Miami. In 1958, a bunch of music industry executives got together and tried to create a response to the growing popularity of Elvis Presley and rock and roll. It was taking over the radio airwaves, and they decided that for their business to survive, they had to get together, put their business interests aside, and work together to strengthen country music. We had 200 members in those early days in 1958, and today the Country Music Association has over 7,400 members in our organization, representing 17 categories. Our 83 board members, many of whom are here with me today, which I appreciate, carry on the same traditions of putting their business interests aside. They guide us to work towards our mission of growing country music both here and abroad and keeping our country music format strong. You may know us, as we mentioned earlier, for our TV productions and our live events, and on occasion you blame us for the traffic downtown. But first and foremost, we are a trade organization. One of the key responsibilities of the Country Music Organization is recognizing and celebrating excellence in our format. We do that in many different ways. Our Triple Play Award winners in January honor songwriters who've had 3 #1 songs in the year, and this coming January we're going to be honoring over 19 of them. Our industry honors include our international awards to celebrate excellence both here and overseas. And catch up there. And ESSER Awards in December, in just a few weeks, honor touring professionals in our business. And of course, the ultimate recognition in our business is induction into the Country Music Hall of Fame. The CMA created the Country Music Hall of Fame in 1961, and the first inductees were Jimmie Rodgers, Fred Rose, and Hank Williams. The doors on the old facility opened in 1967, and in 2001, CMA was there to help them open a state-of-the-art facility in downtown. And even though we are parallel organizations and we're not a part of the CMF anymore, I just want to say a shameless plug for those of you who have not been down to the Hall of Fame. You really should. It's a treasure here in Nashville, and for those of you who haven't been, please make a point between now and the end of the year to get down there. One of the highlights of my job every year is I get to share the good news with the inductees that they've been elected to the CMA Hall of Fame, Country Music Hall of Fame. And as a fan and lover of our history of the business, it is a privilege, and my goal every year is to surprise them more and more. Since 1967, we at the CMA have been honoring the best of the best every year at the CMA Awards. Our first televised show was in 1968 and was hosted by Roy Rogers and Dale Evans. And it's a funny story, it actually ended up on television because Roy and Dale had a deal with Kraft. And NBC had to fulfill an interest with Kraft, and so CMA had been pitching trying to get the program on television, but because Kraft was with Roy and Dale, they said, well, if you can use these guys, Roy and Dale, to host the show, you can have your show on television, and that was 49 years ago. Just a few weeks ago, on November 4th, Brad Paisley and Carrie Underwood hosted for the 8th year, attracting over 14 million viewers. We're second only to the Oscars on ABC for a top entertainment program of this year. The program is seen in many countries around the world and exports the best of our city, our industry, and our country. Today, the CMA Awards is the longest-running annual music awards on network television. And I learned last night that we had news coverage on every continent around the world except for Antarctica. So I think our staff's goal is next year is what kind of press can we get out of Antarctica? Now, we were in Texas, there's penguins, I don't know, there's something to happen there. Our newer TV property, the CMA Country Christmas, began in 2010, and it's the next slide up, and I'll give you a shameless plug. You've got the tune-in information. It's going to air December 3rd at 8 p.m. Central on WKRN Channel 2 here. So if you're in the Christmas mood with your family, please tune in and watch. Along with the CMA Awards and the Hall of Fame, another key pillar of CMA and our involvement with the community is CMA Music Festival. The event began as fanfare in 1972 and moved to downtown Nashville in 2001. Last year we had 11 stages, over 500 artists, and 250 hours of music. The event brought in a record 87,680 fans per day, and fans from all 50 states and 24 countries came to Nashville. According to the National Convention of Visitors Corporation, we had over a $60 million impact on the city of Nashville in direct visitor spending. Music Fest is a true collaborative effort of our city, our industry, our fans, and most especially our artists, who play our 11 stages throughout the footprint for free. And since 2006, CMA has in turn turned proceeds from that festival and to the degree of over $13.6 million to music education efforts around the country. And over $10 million of that has been spent here in Metro and Nashville Public Schools over the last 10 years. Sometimes I get asked why we're so focused on music education. It's not like we're working on turning out a bunch of junior Luke Bryans or junior Carrie Underwoods necessarily. But we a couple of years ago, rather than investing in a bunch of different charities, found it was important to really channel those resources towards one specific cause. And I want to call out Tiffany Kern, who runs our foundation, who's here with us today, and also Ron Samuels, who's the chairman of our board with Avenue Bank. So thank you for all you do for that in that space for us. So here's why we're involved in music education. The statistics show that students in music programs are 7% more likely to come to school every day, 15% more likely to have a higher GPA than students who don't engage in music programs, 52% more likely to graduate on time than students who aren't participating in music programs. And they both have higher GPAs and scores in math and English on the ACTs. But most importantly for me, music education gives a young student a voice. And thanks to the work of our foundation, well before the time I got here to Nashville, every student in K through 8 in Metro now has access to music education, something we're very proud of. This year, our foundation will provide a record $2.6 million in funding for music education around the country, including a recent announcement of $1 million staying here in Metro and Nashville Public Schools for both instruments and teacher education. We look forward to working with Mayor Berry, the Nashville Public Education Foundation, and our music teachers to continue to grow music education efforts here in Nashville. We live here, we work here, we play here. We at the CMA are proud to support our Nashville community and call this city home. In 2016, we'll be celebrating 2 important milestones. The first will be the 45th anniversary of Fanfare, now Music Fest, and of course the 50th anniversary of our crown jewel, the CMA Awards. And I'm going to show you a quick clip that we rolled out on award show week or so ago.
The following program was pre-recorded at the world-famous Grand Ole Opry House when the winners of the Country Music Association Awards were officially announced.
I had this dress made in case I won, and about 5 minutes ago, I was hoping I wouldn't win because I busted the front out of it, and that's why.
What in the world is going on here, folks?
This is the one old Bo Seaman's been looking for.
This is from me and Mama, and we thank you.
I love my Georges, George Strait and George Jones, and we thank you guys for being with me. No offense, Mr. President, I'm sorry.
It's too hard to speak about, so just thank you.
This is definitely the highlight of my senior year.
I'm real happy, but the only thing that I'm kind of sad about is my husband is gone hunting. He couldn't make it back in to share my happiness with me.
And it's given country music a great shot in the arm when the so-called rebels came along. People just doing it their own way.
So we're excited next November to be able to celebrate 50 years of the CMA Awards and certainly to do it here in Nashville. But between now and then, every week we're going to be rolling out new digital clips online to give you a sense of a history and remember back to what was happening in 1972, 73, 68, etc. Kate asked me this morning to give just a brief, before we get to the Q&A, a brief history of my own personal journey, and it's already been recapped pretty well, but we can move on to the next slide. Contrary to the picture you're going to see in a moment, the road to here, my dream job at the CMA, was not a straightforward path, but rather a set of pivots and switchbacks that led me to a challenging and rewarding, fulfilling position. And although I never contemplated that my passion for music would lead to this chapter in my life, I was fortunate to benefit from a strong music education program in public schools when I was growing up in Illinois. However, when I went to college at Georgetown in Washington, D.C., it was law and politics on my brain, and I spent 8 years at C-SPAN covering campaigns, producing daily talk shows, and the popular series Book Notes. I became a manager very early in my career and really loved my time at C-SPAN. In fact, I was up there in Washington last weekend, and almost 40% of the people at C-SPAN today were there when I was 20 years ago. But it's amazing to me, if I think about all the different things I've gotten to experience in my life, how frankly bored I would be if I was still there. But it was great to get to catch up with them and be back in DC for a few days. But by 1995, I was really ready for some new challenges. I was actually interviewed to be Ted Koppel's producer at Nightline, and of us in this room remember Ted Koppel, and I thought, man, what a great job for someone who's in the media. That's like the ultimate news job. And then I started thinking, man, if you do that job, you get up at 6 in the morning, you read all the newspapers, you come up with a show for the day, the show's 11:30 at night live, you go to bed, you get up 5 hours later and you do it all over again. So I thought, well, if I do that, I'll just put the money aside for a couple of years and just work really hard. And then when I didn't get the job, I will admit that I was quite relieved. And I was offered the job to actually be John McLaughlin's producer at the McLaughlin Group. And I decided that that was not the thing for me. Trahern, you're wrong. And so I decided that really what I wanted to do is move somewhere else, and I decided to move to Nashville. I had cousins here, some friends in the music business, a huge love for music, and decided to take a chance on trying to get a job at TNN. And through some doggedness on my part and certainly a whole lot of luck, I ended up managing specials and series at TNN, position I held through 3 management changes at the network until it became Spike with MTV in 2001. My responsibilities included a show called At the Ryman for 3 seasons, the TNN Music City News Awards that later became the TNN Country Weekly Awards, which ironically was the first award show to be done at Bridgestone. So last year when I got to do the CMA Awards for the first time at Bridgestone, I at least knew my way through all the backstage areas. In 2001, when I got laid off from TNN and decided not to go to New York, I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. I stayed here in Nashville. I went to business school. I started a production company, not by choice, but kind of by default. I did some work for the First Amendment Center on their PBS talk show, and the next thing I know, I'm producing Alan Jackson's Christmas special for CMT. I actually had to take my finance and accounting exams at Vanderbilt early, which was not a very good thing to do, I'll tell you, when I saw my grades. But to be able to juggle school and doing TV, it was a little crazy. Then I got to produce what I thought was going to be my very last program in the music business, was Johnny Cash's memorial service for CMT, because I had been offered a job to go to Scripps to help them take over this TV shopping network here called Shop at Home. So I was mismanaging people. Shop at Home was a great experience to go back into management, but certainly in my mind, going out with Johnny Cash's memorial service was about the best way you could do it. And then I was pretty miserable at Shop at Home. TV shopping is not television. But about a year and a half later, just as I was contemplating leaving Shop at Home, Scripps bought a country music channel called Great American Country. And I said, hello, I'm here. You don't have to move me to Nashville. This is what I do. And I was fortunate enough to join that team and get to work for almost 10 years at Great American Country as their general manager. Projects there included everything from the Opry at Carnegie Hall, country music at the White House, and one of the things I'm the most proud of is the 2010 flood benefit that we pulled together to help the city of Nashville. But then I was really happy at Scripps, could have stayed there for a few more years, but then a really dream opportunity came along for me to engage with the country music industry on a higher level at the CMA while still retaining the hand I had in television. I'm just grateful to our board of directors for giving me the opportunity to be here at the CMA. It's been the most wonderful 2 years of my life. I'm blessed to have had 30 years in business following my passion, and lucky to work with an amazing and hardworking staff and an engaged and visionary board of directors. Thank you for your time and for this community's support of country music.
Sarah, it's great to have you at Lipscomb this morning. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Wow, what a great story.
I've been really lucky. I have a great life.
Well, obviously, and congratulations on that. So our format is that we take questions from the audience, and by the way, for those of you in the audience, I'll remind you that the instructions on how to send a question are at the bottom of the agenda here in your program. Kate and I will alternate questions. So let me just begin with the question that I suspect a lot of us are thinking about. We look at the music industry, and I don't think any of us really understand exactly how it works. And please don't go into too much detail, but in our digital age, how do you make money in the music business?
Isn't that the $10,000 question?
$10 million question.
Looking at, at our table of board members who we have a record label, a manager, producers, publishers, PROs, agents. Really, I think we actually have kind of a Noah's Ark. We have one of each category here today at the table. Traditional models used to be that artists made their money from touring, record labels made their money from record sales, songwriters made their money from radio, and PRO is probably the same thing. But it really, in the digital age, it's changed a good bit because the revenue streams from record sales are certainly not as strong as they are, and revenues from streams are certainly slowly coming up, at least stream consumption's coming up. So really we're looking at a lot of different businesses may have what you see in print as a 360 business model, where a lot of the younger artists are signing up to labels, and the labels have skin in the game with the artists, and the artists have different skin in the game with the labels, and certainly they're giving up pieces of touring. I think we as a business are in the means of really defining what that next 50 years of the business model is going to look like. Certainly the traditional model is not there. We are in the middle of a large-scale research study on consumer habits in music, and I was at focus groups in a couple of the cities, and in Birmingham in particular, it struck me. One of the fans said, "I'm not opposed to artists making money, but I decide I want to go spend my money on their live show." And so in fans' mind, they don't think that if they're not supporting their record companies, there's not going to be music to be heard on the radio or streaming services. Mm-hmm. They just think that the artist is making money from everything, and that's not really the case. So we as an industry, it's important for us to support all of the different factions and find ways for the business model to work for everyone, because heaven forbid we only have live performance and we don't have music on the radio, we don't have music to stream, we don't have music to be able to buy. So it's something that we continue to work together on and really look at the sustainability of our business.
One thing I've noticed in attending the festival and being at the awards is really, since you've come into your position, kind of this new energy with the CMA. Can you tell me a little bit about what your goals are maybe in the next year or two?
And certainly, for me, probably the most comfortable part of my job for me is when we get to award season. Like award shows, I know how to do this. We have a first-class executive producer, Robert Deaton, and very active, involved TV committee, and we work together to put the show on. But I think if we look over the next couple of years, next year for Music Fest, certainly one of the things we're working on right now is how to fold the new amphitheater, that we have in our city into those stages. So do we program it probably this year just at daytime, but there's some talk, since we sell out every year and we maximize the number of tickets for the stadium, do we look at adding amphitheater shows at night? What can we do for the 4-day ticket holders to give them added value? So looking, how do we continue to grow an event that in some ways is already mature? There's a fixed number of capacity seats. We have roughly about 50,000 seats at the stadium, but our capacity last year, daily count was 86,000. Mm-hmm. So that means that roughly 30 to 35 additional thousand people are going to our free stages around town. So I think for us is how do we continue to grow the event but keep it intimate? Mm-hmm. So I think those are the things that we're looking at for the next 2 years. And certainly for the award show is how do we really celebrate next year our 50th. A lot of talk and a lot of planning is going into that, really using it as an opportunity to celebrate the history that got us to where we are today.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Let me see if I can combine a couple of questions here and frame it this way. I think all of us have been flabbergasted, really, at how Nashville's exposure has blossomed really across the world. We've become known as the It City. The TV series Nashville has, of course, had a major impact. I suspect most of that happened through design, not by accident. But where do we go from here? How do you move Nashville to another level? What is that level? What's next?
I mean, I think for a long time, Nashville was known for country music. And then for the last few years, it really has been positioned as music overall. If you look at the fact that Black Keys and Kings of Leon and a lot of our strong Americana artists have moved here to Nashville. So I love to celebrate while I get up in the morning and put on the country music suit, and I'm going to do my darndest every day to make sure our format is as strong and long-lasting as it can be. One of the things I love to celebrate as a citizen of Nashville, one of my favorite artists, Kev Mo, moved here. It's just that we are a community of music overall, but over the last few years, we've also added some first-class restaurants and chefs and stores and fashion. So I think as Nashville continues to grow, our bedrock will always be the music community from a tourism standpoint, but I think we're adding a lot of other things that drive people to Nashville. I had some out-of-town friends in town for the Christmas taping week before last, and two women, they'd never been here to town, and I don't really go downtown and spend my weekends in downtown Nashville for fun, but with them being here, we did that, and there's just a lot to offer, and both of them said they'll now come back and bring their families. We ran into some other people they know, so I think we continue to expand the offerings that Nashville has. I think we have a long runway of being the it city for a while.
So moving from TV into the position that you're in now, what's the thing that surprised you the most?
I worked very closely with the CMA over the 20 years I've been in Nashville. When I was at TNN, I remember having to go to Jerry Bradley, who was chair of the Fanfare Committee, and we were working on a documentary, and he scared the hell out of me, as Troy Tomlinson could tell. Please, Mr. Bradley, we really want to do this show. It'll be good for Fanfare. So I think, even though I've worked with the CMA closely over the 20 years I've been here, I mainly worked with them on the awards and on Music Fest. So those are the things that CMA is really known for. But the thing, once I got into the job, I realized that we do minimum of 45 other events each year, plus the trade association piece. So the thing that surprised me the most is our amazing staff. We have just 45 people who do all of that on a year-round basis. They work their tail off. We had a post-mortem meeting on Music Fest last week, and I think we had 12 pages of notes that they put together on things that we could do better. And it was a good show, and things went pretty smoothly, but I love the fact that we turn around and say, how do we take this to the next level? And I just am amazed at how much my team's able to do, and I'm really proud of working with them.
I think all of us would like to see more international air service here. We'd like to be able to fly nonstop around the world. And I think I've assumed that would come about because of businesses moving to Nashville. But now, just a few days ago, a poll came out among international tourists. Nashville was rated, I think, number one among the destinations they'd like to go to. What is CMA doing? What could CMA do? Behind the scenes or otherwise, to help us grow from an international destination standpoint?
At Lonely Planet last week just named Nashville as one of the top 10 destinations to go to in the world, and we were the only destination within the U.S. that Lonely Planet named. So hopefully or not hopefully, depending on your perspective, we'll be bringing a lot more tourists here. But we work very closely with the Nashville Convention and Visitors Corporation on a number of projects around the world. Most notably, we're going into our 4th year partnering with them on an event in London called C2C, Country to Country, which is a great 3-day music festival. And we also do one of our CMA songwriter shows over there. One of the goals that the board has charged me with is to continue to grow exposure of our TV properties on an international basis. So in the next few weeks, we're going to be announcing 2 new partnerships to go back to areas in Europe that will, the TV properties are 10 hours of exporting the best of our business. And so certainly if you're in London and you can now see CMA Music Fest and you can see the award show and you can see the Christmas show, I think that just puts a face to country music and hopefully will bring more people here to the States. And I'd love to see a direct flight. It would certainly make it a lot easier for a lot of us.
We have a question from the audience that says that you've been through an adventure for a career path and that your industry is in constant change. How do you stay relevant? How do you stay motivated, especially you had some adversities there along your career path?
Yeah, I'd say I'm really fortunate that I don't have any problem staying motivated because I genuinely love what I do. Other than the year I was at Shop at Home, and I will say that was about the most miserable I've been in my professional career. The guy I was dating at the time, I felt for him a lot. It was not a lot of fun. But I really love what I do. So I love to get out of bed in the morning, and there aren't a lot of days when I dread it, which is a good thing. And what's the first part of the question, which was a good one?
You've been through an adventure, relevant, how to stay relevant.
Yeah, I mean, I think you always want to learn, the most important thing to me in this job, and I hope I get to do it until I retire, but the most important thing for me is to make sure I leave the CMA stronger than when I came into it. And it was pretty darn strong when I came into it, but it needs to be around 100 years from now. And a lot of other genres have tried to do this and it's failed. So how do we continue to look at things like the changing business environment around us and make sure that our organization can help our industry grow and adapt to those things for the long haul?
So Sarah, when I drive up and down Music Row, the two Music Rows, I see a lot of global corporation names, Sony, Warner, EMI, others. It's obviously a very big business today. But I wonder, looking at the other end of the spectrum, what is CMA doing to promote entrepreneurship in the business? Is there a place for a young, bright, business-minded person to break into the music business as a business person?
Oh, sure. And for the last 2 years, we're just beginning our second year of sponsoring the Entrepreneur Center Music Incubator Program. And the programs that came out of last year's class, none of them are in the country space. But we chose to support it knowing that it's important for us to support kind of that grounds-up music community, whether they are strictly in the country space or not. I actually believe today is the day that they're selecting the class for next year, so I'm eager to see what projects are coming out of that. But I think, certainly the big corporations are here, but a lot of individual business people have been quite successful, and certainly they're successful entrepreneurs on our board, so we're a mixture of that. But also I will say to the folks that talk about just the big companies represented here in Nashville, one of the things I love is that our business is still small, and the head of EMI here can call the head of Sony and have a discussion on something that's good for the business, or publishers can work with individual artists. So I feel like the thing that makes Nashville and the music business here so special is that even those people who report to big bosses in other parts of the world have a certain amount of autonomy to do things a little differently here in Nashville.
Attorney mentioned Music Row. What's your level of concern about major music names moving off of Music Row? And I know you all have a new office.
Yeah, so we're moving into a new office next year, but right in the heart of Music Row. If it were up to me, I would have loved to have found a way to stay in the current building we're in. We've been in the building for about 25 years, but it just, both with the staff size and particularly parking and ensuring the safety of our employees, it was not feasible. However, we're just going about 2 blocks down the road from where we are. And to me, it's kind of like over my dead body would I move CMA off Music Row, and that's the heart of our business and the history of our business is there. However, just from a sheer space standpoint, there isn't a lot of space for some of those bigger companies to be able to house, particularly the back-end offices of some of our larger businesses that are going downtown or to other parts of town. However, what I'm loving is that you still have the houses with the publishing companies and the studios and the heart of Music Row, and I think that's an important part, and it's important for us as an industry to keep some of those pieces there. But as a business person, I understand that sometimes people have to move their businesses elsewhere. For us, it was not a non-starter.
Again, let me combine a couple of questions. The new mayor, Mayor Berry, has announced that she's going to continue the Music Council, which, by the way, for a while was headed by one of our alums, Randy Goodman, just to put a plug in. So how does the Music Council help CMA achieve your objectives? And as long as we're talking about the mayor and Metro, what role is CMA playing in music education in the public schools in Nashville?
So to take the first part, certainly Mary Ann McCready, Randy Goodman, Joe Galane, Ed Hardy, the folks who have been involved very actively in the Music Council are all active in our organization. So to me, certainly the Music Council has brought a lot of great things to Nashville. We've had a deep stronghold in the Nashville community well before there was the Music Council. So I think that the kind of relationships that the Music Council has encouraged for people like the Grammys or Dick Clark Productions bringing the Fox show here, we already had some of those deep relationships because we live here. So certainly working alongside the Music Council, we can help supersize our events, but really almost working alongside them to help bring some of those other big events here, because certainly the bigger profile for Nashville, it's kind of a conundrum I have, frankly. On one side, wearing, my big country music hat, the bigger country gets, the better it is for all of us. All boats rise. Mm-hmm. Wearing my partnership hat with ABC and the producer of our show hat, I want our show to be number one always. I mean, we're all competitive, and that's part of the business. So it's I want country to be broad. It's great that there are so many, country is so hot that every network and every cable network wants to have their own country show. But also where I sit, I want to make sure that ours stays strong and vital. And the second part is certainly, we during the election process, we hosted a mayoral forum at the Country Music Hall of Fame for our industry because it was important for us to get in front of all 7 mayoral candidates early. And then we had both of the 2 final candidates before the runoff, Megan Barry and David Fox, come and sit down and meet with our foundation board. We felt it was important, since we were giving so much money to Music Makes Us in the private-public partnership with the city, that we had a chance to sit down with the mayoral candidates and hear really what they thought about the music education programs going forward. I think both of them were quite supportive, and certainly we've already had some sit-downs with the mayor's office to see what we can do to continue our education outreach. I will say one of the things I'm most excited about is that we're changing the mix of our engagement with Nashville. So previously we've given strictly for music instruments, and it's been wonderful. The notes from the students who say, my house burned down and I would not have had my trumpet if the CMA hadn't been there to provide a new one. Or one of the letters I had gotten from a woman whose father had died, and just how devastated she was, but having music in the schools gave her a chance to express some of that sorrow. But one of the things we're doing this year is changing our mix to just about a third of our donation going to music education, and the rest going to some coaching and master teacher acknowledgement. So I think really working over the next chapter with the city and the new superintendent to strengthen the education part of it is important as well.
I kind of want to ask 2 questions if I can,
sure,
quickly in a row. Are you a musician? We saw a fiddle.
I played 12 years of classical violin, and then when I was in high school, I played the banjo. When I went to college, my college roommate was from Long Island, and she loved to shop. And she was like, "Oh, I can't wait. We can go shopping in Washington." And she goes, she kind of made a comment about, the stereotype of, well, you're from Tennessee. I don't know if you're going to have any shoes. And I made some comment back to her, no, but I am bringing my banjo to the dorm room, so watch out. But when I moved here to Nashville in '95, I was at a New Year's party and New Year's Day of 1996, and I remember going to this party, and Earl Scruggs and Bela Fleck were there playing their banjos at the party. I thought, I don't need to play anymore, so I've not pulled any of my instruments out. And I played some piano and guitar. But again, one of the things I love is that the fact that I grew up with music and learned to read music is part of my life, the same way learning math and arithmetic and English and history were. And it's not something that I think about daily, but I really do believe that it enriches students' lives. So the fact that this is something the CMA is involved in is a particularly extra passionate part of my job.
Great, I can wait.
Okay, well, we've got time maybe for a couple more questions. So I'll ask a quick one, and then Kate will ask the last one, and we'll be done. So I've been fascinated by this commercial that's on television about the most interesting man in the world. And looking at your slides and knowing what little I know about the music business, you obviously deal with some characters. And so I wonder if you could tell me, who's the most interesting person on Music Row? Not to put you on the spot, of course.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think if you look at the person in my career that I just is amazing, and still is amazing. If you look at Dolly Parton, and I've done a number of shows with her, she always shows up ready to work, professional, wears the right camera, this is what I'm doing, and delivers 100%, and still does so, and has been successful as a woman early on in a career when there weren't as many global superstar women artists. And then I also got to work a good bit in my TNN days with Eddie Arnold. And I remember Mr. Arnold, one day we were doing a Christmas show with two female superstars. I'm not going to mention their names in this case, but both of them showed up late. And females usually take a little longer because of hair and makeup and all that kind of stuff. And so it was Eddie's Christmas show, Eddie Arnold's Christmas with X, Y, and Z. And he gave them a dressing down. You know, I worked in this business a long time, and you're a professional, and you show up at this time, and when your call time is 10 a.m., and you got to do 2 hours of hair and makeup, you better damn well be there at 10 a.m. And I just remember kind of being a fly on the wall and listening, going, well, you go, Eddie. So there's a couple times now I wish I could have that same speech with an artist, but I'm really fortunate. I mean, I sometimes joke when I give a presentation that I gave up, you know, in Washington you have no hair and a bunch of handlers, and in music you have big hair and a bunch of handlers, but it's really not true anymore because we don't have as much big hair as we used to. But you know, one of the things I did find that and while I'm very blessed to get to interact with some amazing and talented artists, but you know, the ones that get most of my relationships have been with managers or labels or publicists or people who can help deliver the artist to the program. But I will say, working so closely with Brad and Carrie on the writing and formatting of our show, that they really are amazing, the amount of time they take beyond their musical careers to engage in the work of the CMA and making our show first class, and I appreciate that.
As a final question, you asked me at the table earlier what my favorite performance was of the CMAs this year. I'll open it up to, what was your favorite moment? Like, after doing a big show like that, what were you most proud of when it finished?
I love doing live television. It's like, it's a team sport. It's like a football team. You have to know your plays and have it all planned out to go down the field, and then something adverse can happen and spin it in different decisions, and you have to make decisions in the field to make it to the end zone. In this case, we had a rough, I'll say, and we were talking about this in the staff meeting the other day, it was a rough show to get to the show day. Just a lot of stuff, crazy stuff that, business stuff, that gets in the way sometimes of doing entertainment. But by the time it was show day, everybody was on their mark, and I just went back finally and watched it for the first time on television, because during the show I'm in a million different places. I'm in the seats for part of it, I'm in the truck for part of it, I'm backstage for part of it, and I was really proud that by the time we got to show night, everybody was firing on all cylinders, and only my husband knows about all the other stuff that went on behind the scenes.
Wow, I wish we had another hour. Let's thank Sarah for a great job. Thanks for being here.
Sarah, thank you again for all you do to make Nashville Music City. As we leave here, let me remind you that if you would like to be on the mailing list for the Nashville Business Breakfast and be informed of future breakfasts, go ahead and just leave your card at the center of the table, and those will be collected. As we leave, I am reminded of a video I watched not long ago. It was a TED Talk from Louis Schwartzberg, who is a world-renowned time-lapse videographer. What Louis does is he'll spend 10 weeks and he will film the same flower or the same bird nest or the same area of the sky. And over those 10 weeks, he will capture that flower blooming or that egg and that bird hatching or that storm coming together over a particular area. As he was asked, what is the single word that describes what you see in your art? The one word, as he said, there's absolutely no adjective that can do it justice in terms of the miracles that I see. He says the only word that can be used to describe what I see happen in nature is gratitude. He says what I get to see is a tremendous gift. And it's a gift that we need to celebrate, and it's a gift that I feel honored to be able to share with the world, and the only appropriate response is to be grateful. As we think about moving into this holiday season, into a spirit of Thanksgiving over the next week or so, perhaps as we reflect on Nashville, the business community in Nashville, and the wonderful assets we have, including the country music industry and the Country Music Association. Perhaps the only word that is appropriate for us to describe it in terms of all of the dynamic growth that Nashville is experiencing is that we should be grateful, and that we should have gratitude for the incredible work that is happening in this city. Not only here at Lipscomb University in higher education, but in healthcare and in entertainment and all the different sectors that make this city what it is. And so let me be the first this morning to say thank you. Thank you to Kate and the Nashville Business Journal and the wonderful partnership on this event year after year. Thank you to Sarah for being here today and to give your time. Thank you to you all, some of whom you're not used to waking up this early, for being here this morning. And thank you for all that you do. But let me perhaps not be the last to say thank you, and let me ask you as you leave here to find someone in this room whom you need to thank and to thank them. Express gratitude. As you're leaving here, fire away a text to somebody that you need to thank. Express gratitude. As you're driving back to your office this morning, pick up the phone, do it safely, but call somebody and thank them in a spirit of gratitude. Research says that if you do that, you will be healthier and happier. You will invite reciprocity and thus be more successful, and you will inspire the good work that we celebrate together as a community. Have a great rest of your morning. Thank you for being here.